I messaged you a few weeks ago when Cena made his return.
Oh, yeah.
Because your announcement punctuated that moment so well.
Thank you.
And I know that for you, this is just something that you do all the time. But that made that moment, to me as a fan, feel that much more special. And I wonder for you if you realize the importance of that moment as it was happening.
I think in the moments, like as they're happening, we're just kind of like, I'm going from segment to segment and whatever. But obviously it's John Cena, you know what I mean? Like he's larger than life. Like he's this, and he's just he's a cool guy, like in general. And like, he's somebody that I've actually learned a lot off of, through the years of the company. And I was fortunate enough to cross over with him while he was still active there before he kind of stepped away. But he always, I want to make sure that I give respect to him. And that's kind of the one way I can do that is just trying to help. But he's also, so it's interesting because like John is a big guy he's so smart, dude. He's so smart about wrestling, but he's very much like, all right, don't push the crowd too far here because it takes away from the pops in the match or whatever. Like he's very like, he'll ask, we used to sit down before like house shows and he would be like, oh, what do you see out there? And I would look at the shirts in the audience. Cause I told him, one of the things when I was working with Nickelodeon, I was really good about looking out in the audience and kind of gauging how I was going to do my show based off of what I saw out there. And he's like, okay, what do you see? And I was like, all right, well, at that specific town, the first time he ever asked me that, I think we were in like West Virginia or something like that. And I was kind of looking around. I'm like, all right, I see DX. I see Prototype. I see really old shirts, like older shirts. And he's like, well, what does that tell you? And I'm like, that it is an audience that is familiar with our brand, familiar with the superstars of before, and not as familiar with what's going on currently. He's like, okay, so how do you adjust to that? And I was like, well, when I'm putting over the beginning of the card, because in house shows, we basically host the whole thing. Premium, what are they like? Not premium live events, but live events basically. Yeah. I would go out there and kind of put over the reason, who they're facing, why they're facing them. Like it would be more of me telling a story as opposed to me just going, hey, the champion's here. There are the titles on the line tonight. It can be very vague on some of that. So it was really cool. And he would look around and he's like, how many kids are out there? I was like, it's a kid heavy audience. He's okay, cool. And he would talk about how, there's psychology to wrestling and all that. And he would just talk. I asked him, I was like, because in the, performance center, when you're learning things, they're like, all right, cool. You start out and the baby face is hot. And then, there's a cutoff and the heel kind of lays down. And I asked him, I'm like, why do you typically do that? And he just kind of said, everybody knows what I'm about. Everybody knows me. They know what they're getting with me. They know once I go into my thing, they know everything that's going to happen after that. Yeah. He's like, my job in the beginning of that match is to put over the other person, to let them show what they've got, to get everything in there. Because once I go, it's over. Yeah. And he's like, it doesn't hurt me at all, but I want to help them get to the point. And it was just the way he looks us up, and the guy, like he knew everything. He's invested in every portion of that business. And it was really cool.
Wow. Would you say that he's the person that you learned the most from?
I think between, I learned obviously in the performance center, there's guys like, Coach Bloom and Terry Taylor, those guys, obviously a lot of there, Coach Smiley, Robbie, the coaches down there I learned a lot from. And then, obviously Scotty Too Hottie, one of my neighbors, like talking to him a lot and kind of learned a lot from him. But as far as like on the road learning stuff, I definitely learned a lot from him as far as like using what I know and then like what he knows and kind of helping my psychology as far as like working with the audiences and stuff. Because so like I, as an arena host, you want to, when you say thank you, you want to, get the crowd crazy and you want to whatever. And like, thank you, whatever. And to his point, he says, cause he looks at it from whatever you watched, 6 matches maybe. And that 7th match is the big match, the one they've been waiting for all night. But the audience is gassed, obviously, at that point because they've been cheering all night. They've gotten these crazy matches. So me pushing them one more time before that, he's like, there's ways you can do that and still get what you're trying to get without having to get that response back. And I'm like, you're right, because as a host, obviously you want people to like cheer and clap and whatever, but there are ways to do those things without sucking the energy out of the audience before they're about to get these, big things. So he helped me think in different ways on how to do things to where I'm not affecting anything. If that's the case, if that was one of those things. So that was really cool. And also Big Show was another one. Big Show was another guy when I was on tour who really kind of helped me out and did that. And